The afterlife. As Muslims, we know that the faith is like the tides of the ocean. We take our time sometimes doing the things that Allah tells us to do today. As a matter of fact, Allah says in the Quran, in English translation, say not of anything that I'm going to do tomorrow. How do you prepare yourself for the afterlife?
I feel like one thing that I'm always intrigued about, like, I feel like I'm intrigued by death in the sense of, like, you don't know. It's like people pass away every day and then you sit and think like, dang, but where did they go? Like, where are they right now? But I feel like Islam is good in the sense that it literally tells you from the moment that you die and the angels snatch your soul to the minute that you're put in the grave, and they tell you what happens to you in the grave. And it's like,
what happens in the grave?
To my knowledge, of course, you know, you're gonna come down. Well, basically, to even speak about the grave, though, you gotta go all the way back to the moment that your soul is taken, because, you know, they say that at the appointed time for you, there's an angel of death appointed to you to take your soul at a certain time. And once that angel does come and take your soul, you go through various things. If you're a good soul,
you ask 3 questions.
That's in the grave, though. They ask you questions in the grave. So in the grave, when they put you in the grave, yes, once they bury you, they say that once they put the dirt on you, you're going to hear the people's footsteps walking away. And then once that happens, once you hear the footsteps of everybody leaving, that's when the angels come down. They sit you up and they ask you the 3 questions. Who's your God? Who's your messenger? And what did he say? Or what did he send to you? Something like that. And if you answer those 3 questions correctly, you good. But if you don't answer them questions correctly, I think they say to the point that it's like somebody is going to come down, like the grave is going to squeeze you. I think it's the grave squeeze you first, or it squeezes you after the questions. But if you answer the questions correctly, the grave is going to squeeze you and it's going to be comforting. But if you don't answer the questions correctly, it's going to break every bone in your body. You're going to be shown your place in heaven and your place in hell daily, if that's where you're going to go.
What is your deen? What is your religion? Who is your God? And who is your messenger? In Islam, we believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was the seal. When you deal with the brick in the building, the Prophet Muhammad was the last piece. The Prophet Moses was sent to teach you the law. The Prophet Jesus was sent to teach you repentance. The Prophet Muhammad was sent to all nations. Because remember, when Jesus said that, I've only been sent to the lost sheep of Israel. He was only sent to one people. But if you look at today, in today's time, the Prophet Muhammad was sent to every nationality, every race, every creed. That's why when you sit back and you analyze what they don't teach you, 2 of the biggest countries where you see Islam is in China and Russia. But you've never seen a Chinese Muslim.
But you don't see them because they got them in detention camps.
You've never seen a Russian Muslim. But you do see, even though it's not spoken of, American Muslim. Oh, we exist. We deep. And when you sit back and you analyze, we already know that a large percentage of Africa, it's Muslim. Whether you want to sit up there and say the deen was spread through the sword or not, but I tell you one thing: when you sit, you know what I be laughing at? When you analyze in America, American celebrities be all foul. This is what I love. They foul and propagate evil to our people. But when they go to Saudi Arabia
They cover up.
or Dubai,
They cover
when
them.
they go to Dubai and they go over to the Muslims countries, they're on their best behavior in the public eyes. They cover up and they look so angelic.
But it's because it looks good. It's easy to throw on the abaya and cover your head up. Ooh, this is cute. Like, no, wear it on the days that it's 100 degrees. I remember I used to be covered up. It's 100 degrees outside. It's hot. You sweating. On the days that you fasted and you hungry, like, wear it when it's not cute. Because that's the real testament. I feel like when I see celebrities go to Dubai and they just be covering up, I'm like, it's a costume to you. Like, you're not really doing it out of respect. I feel like it's just a costume. Like, it's something, you're in this country, so this is what you have to do, basically.
That's exactly what it is. But let me ask you a question. You said fasting, right? What does fasting mean for you? How do you feel when you fast during the month of Ramadan?
I feel like fasting is abstaining from everything that could possibly get in your way between you and your creator. So sometimes it could be food, but I mean, I feel like they don't want you to eat just because once you're starving and you're desperate, just like Jesus when he was fasting and he was starving and he was desperate, you know, in the desert, like that's when you're the rawest and like the most closest to God, like when you're in that weak, vulnerable state. So fasting is definitely hard just because it's like, it's not just food. You gotta let go. You can't have sex from sun up to sundown. Smoking, all of your vices, basically, you have to let go in order to get closer to God. And Ramadan isn't easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's not easy because it's not only that you're not eating, but it's like you're trying not to be mean. You're trying not to cuss people out. You know, you're trying to be a good person.
And sometimes people gotta understand, when you fasting the first 3 days of Ramadan, well, you're not feeding your parasites, because we all got parasites in us from a child, and you don't even understand that. So when you're not feeding those worms, the snakes in the garden, the Eve that whispered to Adam, the parasites, the first thing you start doing is getting grumpy. When you hungry, you get grouchy. So now the whole key to it is when somebody irritates you, because the whole thing during the month of Ramadan, the evil eye, the shaitan, is locked up. He's shackled. So whatever you do during the month of Ramadan, and you Muslim, that's your character, that's your spirituality, that is the real side of you that you have to battle with. But the reality of it is, for me, I feel like regardless to what, in life, you have to battle and conquer your demons.
And that's so, like, that's what I feel like I'm dealing with now. Now I'm fighting my demons it's like, it's so hard to be a good person. Like, it's so easy to be wicked. It's so easy to just be a bad person all the time. But it's like, to really be good and be patient with people and just be a good person and not lie and manipulate and deceive people to get to a good space, it's just like, it's hard. And being Muslim, it teaches you, like, no matter what you're doing, somebody's watching you. Like, you got an angel on your right shoulder and your left shoulder, and each of them are, everything you do, they writing it down. Okay. And then it tells you in the Quran, it says repeatedly, like, your Lord is not unaware of what you do. Like, so then it's like, dang, I got somebody watching me now. So that's even more pressure. Like, dang, I gotta be a good person. Like, I can hide for people all I want to, but at the end of the day, like, Allah knows the real me. So I could put on a front for people all day, but He knows the real you. And that's the real struggle. Like, trying to make sure that God sees me.
Allah knows what you reveal and what you conceal. So when you sit up there and you hide, it's like, people always ask me, what are you doing for the community? None of your business.
You're not. So you lose your blessing that way by advertising what you do.
When you advertise what you do for people, Allah will say to you on the day of judgment, what have you done in my name? And you say, I gave to the poor. And Allah will say to you, no, you didn't. You gave to the poor because you wanted the people to praise you.
And that's my fear. Like, on the day of judgment, when God pulled me up and he's like, you did A, B, and C.
But hold up. He will tell you to enter the hellfire because he's going to call you a master manipulator. Why you think you don't see Hassan Campbell pulling up and going outside handing pizzas out all over to the homeless community? Because what I do for the poor is none of your business. I don't do what I do to impress you. And when you sit back and you analyze, and God tells you on the day of judgment, the day of Yama Kiyama, when he says to you, soldier boy, picture God. Now you gotta put the devious face on when you said liar. God is going to call you a liar. And then he's going to tell you, in his own way, you're full of shit. Now you enter into the hellfire for being a manipulative bastard because you cannot manipulate God. Hit him in the head with the headshot.
You can't, and that's what's the scariest part about it. Like, you can't manipulate God. So at the end of the day, whatever fronts you try to put on to try to be, like, just know that one day you're going to have to stand up and account for everything that you've done. And it's like, if that doesn't put enough fear into you to be a good person behind closed doors, like, I don't know what is. Even when it comes to my kids, like, you know, it's easy to be nice to your kids in public because everybody's watching. But it's like, behind closed doors, some people are really cruddy to their children. And it's like, I try to make sure that I'm the best mother possible because I know God is watching me. You know, and I don't want him to pull me up one day. They said people will be witnesses for you. So just imagine if you stand up before God and you're like, God, I'm such a good mother, and this and the third, and Allah raise your child up next to you and be like, testify. And then, you know, that's the thing, like,
on the day of judgment, let me explain something to you. Right? Your fingers,
everything,
will testify for the things that you've touched, that God taught you not to touch. Your feet will bear witness. Your mouth will be sealed. God will seal your tongue so you cannot speak. Your feet will say, well, he was in the strip club. Your eyes will speak out while your mouth is sealed shut and say, hey, I was sitting up there watching Debbie and Dallas have sex with whatever you watching porn. Whatever you're doing, the unlawful things that you said out of your mouth, even though your mouth will be sealed, your mouth will speak and said you said some of the most foulest things about people that God loved. So anything and everything that you do, understand something. In life, you don't get away with nothing. I don't believe in the hellfire. Well, guess what? Guess what, right? Go ahead and drink some Hennessy and eat some fried chicken and some fried fish and go to sleep. And the first things that happen is you wake up out of your sleep with acid getting ready to spit out your mouth. What's the first thing you looking for? Tum. You looking for the Tums or Nexiums or whatever to put that acid out. You know why? Because that's hellfire. When you eat foods that's not balanced out, you get stomach cancer. Sometimes your hair fall out from the things that you eat. When you a little boy or a man and you sitting up there eating all that soy-based food, you start to get man boobs. You don't understand the hellfire and how it works. You ain't never sat up there and ate 20 steaks. Yeah, I like steak and lobster. And that steak and lobster put gout in your foot and you ain't walked for 3 weeks. That's hellfire. You ever seen somebody that can't get weed? They ain't had weed in 2 or 3 days. That's the good shit, my nigga.
Weefing, that's what we call it, weefing.
Soon as you take a puff of that blunt, the first thing that happens is, because we ain't never hurt nobody. The first thing, your lungs go, you cough. Your body telling you no. That's some good shit. We out. You ain't got to get no more. It is what it is. Tell the people who you are. What's your name?
We ain't even think of a.
Yeah, she ain't even think of her name yet. We're tuning to that. It is what it is. Y'all got enough of us. Stay tuned. We'll figure out her name whenever we get to that. And zip with the drip. My nigga, let's get to that. We out.